Hey, greetings, everybody. Thanks for stopping by. My name is Kevin Thomas. Welcome to On Point Fighting. We have a special guest today, one of the most important voices in the world of modern day warriors, and that is none other than Master Garth Binns. Master Binns, welcome to the show. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Glad to be here.
All right. Without further ado, let's jump right into it. Get this party started. Tell me what your world looks like these days. What type of things are you involved with?
Well, right now I own a Fit Body Boot Camp. It's going to be celebrating 5 years next month in Mill Basin, Brooklyn, New York. And basically, we focus on high intensity workouts for 30 minutes. We have fat loss experts. Like I said, we have it's going to be 5 years in March. And it's primarily adults. We have maybe a few teenagers, but primarily adults, and I would say 95% women.
Oh, wow. Okay, interesting.
Yeah,
And is it all like aerobics type thing, or is there weights involved also?
we do include resistance training. In addition to that, other equipment, battle ropes, TRX, kettlebells, slam ball, medicine balls, obviously dumbbells as well. Nothing really heavy, like above 50, 60 pounds, but everything else below that. So it's a combination of resistance training and cardio and metabolic conditioning workouts.
Okay, I understand. So, how did you get involved with that franchise? How did you first hear about it?
I first heard about it in 2016, after leaving the martial arts industry for a while. For a few years, I decided to get back into it. I was considering opening up another martial arts school, and I went to a martial arts business summit in Long Island. And at that martial arts business summit, one of the speakers there, he was Pedro Schooligan, who was the founder of Fit Body Boot Camp. And after hearing him speak, and then doing my research on him and following him on, online, Instagram, Facebook, things like that, I decided that model was an easier model to duplicate than a martial arts school.
How so?
Well, to develop martial arts instructors, it's going to take years. It can take months, 3 months to develop a fitness coach. So some of the models that I saw, you had 3, 4 people in a location with a clientele of 2 to 400 clients. So that model is better, is easier to duplicate than a martial arts studio. And truthfully, the the majority of the reason why parents brought their kids to the martial arts school, because they wanted to teach them discipline, focus, and things of that nature. But their parents are the first teachers. So if the parents are not disciplined, focused, or not in shape, it's kind of hard to teach the kids that, because kids don't listen to us; they just watch us. They watch what we do.
Okay, yeah, I want to. I'll back into that in a second. But as far as the business model, I got what you're saying there about that business model being easier. But what about the potential income? How does that compare to, a martial arts school owner?
Well, you got to remember the fitness industry is $1 trillion industry. So if it's done right, you could substantially make a lot more of profit from a fitness studio than you can from a martial arts school.
Okay, oh, that's nice. So even that aspect of it presents a presents a brighter picture.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, do you have social media to promote that? Are you on like Instagram or YouTube or anything like that?
Yeah, we have an Instagram, Facebook page. It's Mill Basin Fit Body. We just posted our workouts this morning. This morning we had Saturday morning, our first session at 9 o'clock. We had 31 people in the first session, and about 12 to 15 in the second session. And like I said, each 30
The,
minutes.
the, the Instagram you said is Mill Basin Fit Body.
Yes, yeah.
What about YouTube? Do you have that?
No, not yet.
Facebook?
Same thing, Mill Basin Fit Body.
Okay. Are you active on Facebook as well?
Yes. Hmm.
Which one are you more active on, or the same?
It's the both. Both. When we post on one, they post on the other. We use the Facebook private group for our actual clients for more detailed interaction. But we also have a Facebook, obviously a business Facebook page and a business Instagram page as well.
Okay. So you said when you came across the opportunity for Fit Body, you were thinking about getting back into the martial arts industry. What is it that led you to leave the martial arts industry? Because I know you were running a school in Brooklyn, and is that considered the Flatbush section
East Flatbush.
or
East
East
Flatbush.
Flatbush section?
Yeah.
Okay,
East Flatbush. Yeah.
and
So,
you producing some incredible students there. So what was the story there? Why did that school go by the wayside?
well, what happened was, I've been doing martial arts since I was 7. I started teaching when I was 10. Um, and they opened up my school. My dad and I opened up the first school when I was 19 years old. That's in 1989. So we've been doing that martial arts business for quite some time. And then I opened up another location in Crown Heights in 1994, and had that for about 14 years. And then we had to move. We had to consolidate locations. So I was always in the martial arts business industry for years, and I just really wanted to see if I can take what I've learned in the martial arts business industry and move it into other careers. So I went into other things. I went into real estate. I went into different things. And after being away for maybe like 4 or 5 years, I decided, let me try to. I missed the teaching part. I missed the teaching part, and decided, to consider. I was considering coming back into the martial arts business industry.
You missed the teaching part, but those other, well, let me ask you this first. So those other things that you tried, how would you characterize your experiences there?
Wasn't
Like
fulfilling.
for example, were you still your own boss in those things, or were you working for, other people, companies and things?
I was working for somebody else. Yeah, and yeah, it wasn't fulfilling.
The nature of the work?
Yes, yes,
Okay. So the nature of the work, you weren't deriving any sense of meaning from it.
yeah, not at
But
all.
how was it for you having like a boss, basically like that's like for the first time in your life having a boss?
It was very different, to say the least. It was different. It was a lot of hierarchy. It was a lot of wanted to take action and had to get permission or write an email or you know too much waiting. So it was. I learned a lot what not to do when I worked at other places.
What about office politics?
Yeah, of course, there's office politics. I try to steer from it, but um, you know, I didn't like the lids. I didn't like the lids that was placed on me or anybody else. So and I actually got into the fitness industry with as an operations manager at a gym, and I did that for a few years, and that kind of even pushed me more towards um, opening a fit body, or opening up another either a martial arts school or a gym.
Gotcha. So you mentioned that the parents are bringing the students to the school for discipline, and what else did you say?
Well, they always want to discipline. They want to get more confidence, more focus. Very rarely the parent brings the child in for self-defense reasons. Yeah, very rarely. That's always a. It depends. I think the child is older, it's maybe more self-defense, but usually younger, it's more focus and concentration and discipline.
That's interesting. Yeah, I could tell you one of my experiences as an instructor, well, one of my frustrations, martial arts instructor, well as working in the social work field is, what I call parental sabotage. And like, for example, the martial arts world, that would be when parents would decide to use karate as a punishment, saying, oh yeah, you're not going to karate this week or for the next 2 weeks because you're getting bad grades in school, whatever. So I'm going
Right.
to take karate away from you. Whereas karate is the one thing that can help them, you know, straighten out like other aspects of their life.
Exactly. But it also comes down to when you don't know any better, you don't know. You don't know what you don't know. And if you're taking away something that's positive, which was probably happened to them, and not replacing it with something positive, that lesson that you're trying to teach is not learned.
You often hear about martial artists being disciplined and how it's a way of life, things like that. But I never really believed that because I mean, how much discipline does it take to do something that you love? And we love it, and we tend to be extremists.
Mm-hmm.
So we do it to the extreme.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I,
yeah, yeah.
so I think you have to look, outside the dojo. What does the picture of the person's life look like outside the dojo? Has he had his car towed and his license suspended because of unpaid parking tickets? Is it one broken relationship after another? In terms of divorces, whatever. Are the finances a wreck? So, what's your opinion about that? As far as martial arts discipline, is it overrated? Is
I
it a
don't
way
think
of
it's
life or
I
not?
don't think it's overrated. I think it's a disconnection. I think it's a disconnection between the martial arts life and your everyday life. I don't think it's just related to martial arts. I think it's related to a lot of things. I think people, um, they're gonna do things that they're good at. So people always say, follow your passion, but you're not good at something until you start doing it, and then once you start being good at it, then you start developing that passion for it. You don't love playing the piano, and you never played the piano before. You start playing it, and you start realizing how good you are at it. Then you start developing passion for it. So I think the disconnection is the characteristics that it takes to be good at something, at one thing. They don't relate it to something else. They don't relate it to the other areas of their life. So that's the biggest challenge. And because those other areas of life we don't have that passion for. We don't have that passion for. So the biggest thing is to be able to transfer over those same characteristics that in areas that you're good at into other areas of your life.
So, for example, a quality like consistency. In order to reach black belt excellence, you have to be consistent. So you're saying outside of the dojo, if the person is not applying that same level of consistency, let's say to his job or to learning an instrument or whatever, then he's going to fall short
Yeah, yeah,
in
yeah,
terms of his results.
yeah.
But I think also, and tell me what you think about this. For at most martial arts schools, basically it's a physical workout,
Mm-hmm.
and a physical workout is not enough to extend to the life outside the dojo. You would have to have those teachings, whether it be the code of Bushido or whatever. Not just a physical workout. And I can tell you, I've talked to a lot of instructors that actually were disappointed in a lot of their top students because they fell short of this instructor's ideal for them. And again, my feeling on that, my take on it is yeah, because a martial arts workout is not enough. You can't call it a way of life unless it truly is a way of life.
Right, 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 right. Yeah, you have to. You know, Years ago we had a creed that we used to say before and after each session, each class, and that creed wasn't only about martial arts; it was about life itself. And the amazing thing about it, I used to teach this kid, I mean, at least 15, more than 15, 20 years ago. And I saw him the other day and he remembered the student creed. He remembered all the different forms and katas and everything, but he remembered the creed. So
Oh, nice.
you wanted to, like you said, you wanted to transfer over to other things. And that's what we used to tell them. We used to tell them, if you're able to do this in the martial arts, you should be able to use those same characteristics, those same habits to get better grades in school. Because majority of our students were kids in school.
So basically, the disconnect comes by not applying the lessons learned in the dojo to the outside world.
Well, not only that, if you don't know how to connect it, you have to know how to connect it. So an example for children, we used to say, um, self-discipline. An example of self-discipline: when you punch, when you're supposed to do it to punch, you're supposed to put it back when you finish with it. The same. So every time you punch, what are you going to do with it? Put it back. So when you're at home, you can practice self-discipline. How? Or when you finish playing with your toys, what are you going to do with it? You're going to put it back. So you have to be able to teach them the connection. And that could be the same for any characteristic: self-discipline, self-control, respect, focus, concentration. So, but if the instructor doesn't know how to connect the two, then the student won't know how to connect the two. So that's how we used to just try to reinforce the things that we taught on the mat, so it can be displayed at home and at school.
So for you as an instructor, it was more than just a physical workout.
Well, it had to be. It had to be, because the physical workout, anybody could do a physical workout. You can't do it. You couldn't do it then, but you can go on YouTube for a damn physical workout. So it's the connection. It's the connection. It's the bond that you create between the instructor and the parent and the student, the child. So it has to be more than that. It can't be just a physical workout.
All right. All righty.
And it's the same thing with Fit Body. It's the same thing. It's you can go on YouTube for a free workout. So.
Okay, if you remember the Jimmy Castor bunch, what we're going to do right now is go back, way back into time, to a time when Garth Binns just started martial arts. So what was it that first attracted you to martial arts at the age of 7?
Bruce Lee. It was Bruce Lee. I saw him in the movies, and I figured, if I started training and I could beat Bruce Lee, I can get his movies.
Take his spot, huh?
Yeah, at 7 years old, that was the plan. But I didn't know he was dead already. But that was my initial reason. And then it just became fun. The training became fun. It was a way of bonding with my brother from another mother, John Jackson. We started training together, and I initially was to beat up Bruce Lee. But that didn't last too long.
You started in 76.
Yeah.
Okay. And what was your first system?
Japanese Kitsugen.
And who was the instructor?
My initial instructor was Master Isaac Seals. Japanese Kitsugen was founded by Erskine Matthews, who created the system and combined Shotokan and Goju.
So that's the same system that Hector Delgado in the Bronx and Jesse Ray were in also?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Hector Delgado and Jesse, is Hector's brother, Pete.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I met him a few times. Yeah.
Yeah, they were all in this. They were all in the system as well. Well, I was later on, but yeah.
Oh, so you never actually in the same dojo with them? They weren't in the same dojo with you at the same time?
No, they came. They were after me.
Gotcha.
And those locations were either in the Bronx or Long Island. But yeah, we were in Brooklyn.
How long did you stay in that system? I mean, that's the system where you made black belt?
Yes, yeah. We had, under Master Isaac Seals, 3-hour classes. 3-hour classes, 6 days a week. And only the strong survived.
Absolutely. I was just going to ask about the workouts. So, when did you make black belt?
When I was 10 years old, 1979. And it
Wow.
was crazy because, we used to hear all these stories about brown belt being this ultimate test. Because in the system that we came up in, it was white, yellow, green, purple, brown, and black. That was it. And, I was a white belt for 10 months. I breezed through yellow and green and purple, and then I skipped brown and went straight to black. And they surprised me. I was kind of upset because I wanted to break all these records that I heard as a brown belt, but it was obviously an honor to get my black belt at such a young age. But I put in the work. Like I said, it was 3 hours of class, 6 days a week. We didn't, 3 hours. I think now martial arts schools, they train for 3 hours in a week, and we train 3 hours in a day.
Right.
So.
Yeah, very true. Interesting. Going through, well, first let me ask you this. Were there any other 10-year-olds making their black belt alongside you?
Well, I didn't know of any until we started competing in tournaments, because they had.
No, I mean within your system, in your dojo, in your class, under Isaac
Oh
Seals.
no, it was all me and John Jackson. He was older than me. He was a little older.
Okay.
That was it.
You guys crossed over on the same day?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Okay, going through elementary school, junior high school, and you grew up in Brooklyn, right?
Yes. Hmm.
Back then we had this thing called, get with the hands, before people started pulling out knives and guns or whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
did you ever have, people challenging you and thinking like, oh yeah, this guy is, he's short, he's soft. Let me try to test him.
We had a couple of situations, but it was never really a full blown fight. It was like, smack, sit down. And one of the reasons is because I believe I was in the fifth grade. I think I was in the fifth grade. And my dad and I and John, we just came back from the U.S. Open in Florida. We won. I won the division. I won a big 7-foot trophy. And my dad, being the promoter that he is, he organized to me and John to do a demonstration at my elementary school. So the whole auditorium was filled with the whole damn school, and we were doing a karate demonstration. So not after that, not too many people stepped to me after that.
Right.
Every once in a while we had a little something, but not too much. And then back then, the neighborhood was smaller. Everybody knew everybody in the neighborhood. So once that word got out, even I was in elementary school, people from junior high school and high school found out about it. And then we had the school right on Church Avenue, so right in the middle of the neighborhood. So my elementary school was 2 blocks away on Tilden and 54th, and the karate school is on Church and 53rd and 54th. So it's just blocks away. So, the same people I'm playing skelly with in football and basketball, the same people I went to school with, and the same people who were in the auditorium seeing me do the demo.
And did a lot of them join the school karate class?
Honestly, I don't remember. I don't think so. It wasn't in the beginning, it wasn't a successful business model. With 3-hour classes, how many students can you actually have in a 1,500 square foot location?
Right, and how many parents are going to go for that?
Exactly, and it wasn't. The workouts were brutal. We were schooled the way our instructors were schooled. Only the strong survived. I don't know if it was right or wrong, but that's what it was.
So at any point going through that grueling training, did you feel like, yeah, this is not worth it, I'm going to quit and just play basketball?
That option never thought of, that thought never came to mind. Basketball was fun. I was good at I was what, a short guy. My father was short. I had no intentions of idea of ever being a basketball player. That thought never crossed my mind. I did like boxing in addition to martial arts. But that was it. The only 2 sports that I actually did think about football at one point when I was younger. I did think I had the skills to be a football player, but then after I got older and I realized I'm too damn small.
When did you start competing?
I started competing right away. As a white belt, I competed, but it was only one tournament. We only knew about one tournament, and that was the Henry Cho All-American at Madison Square Garden. So we competed as a white belt, competed as a yellow belt. No, I didn't compete as a yellow belt. Sorry, I competed as a white belt, competed as a green belt, and then I took my first win was as a green belt. I took second place, and then competed as a purple belt, and then I started winning on a consistent basis when I hit black. Yeah, I started competing. Started winning regularly when I hit black belt.
So having been an instructor, competitor, a coach, what gave you the most satisfaction? What did you enjoy the most?
Ooh, I would probably say teaching and coaching. Teaching and coaching, yeah. It's a little bit more nerve-wracking because you don't have any control. and yeah, and I'm a control freak, but you don't have any control over what other people do. But seeing your students or your team members that you coach and help develop, seeing them progress and then succeed is very gratifying. So.
Absolutely. I'm also accused of being a control freak, but I think sometimes when you are setting a high standard, a quality standard, and you have to be a control freak if other people around you are willing to accept, a lower standard. But if
Yeah,
someone
well,
is willing,
I don't see anything wrong with being a control freak, as long as it's in a positive, in a positive situation. But I don't see anything wrong with being a control freak. You know, we the most successful people I think are control freaks. We control what we consume, we control what we eat, we control what we work out, we control whom we call friends. We control. You know, we either don't have control. We have control or lose control, and when we lose control, we kind of the outcomes are not so easily predicted. So you got to have some side of control.
as a black belt, either in the juniors or as an adult, what are some of the memorable names, uh, the martial artists that you competed against that people might know?
Well, I can go way back. Let me go start in the back. There's a guy named Yero Dorsey from Harlem Goju. That boy was wicked. That boy was bad. That boy was bad. He was good. Eddie Bowes Jr. was good. George Creighton III was great. He's as kids. John Jackson, who I trained with, obviously my brother from another mother, he was great. And then as an adult, Pedro Xavier, the eighth wonder of the world, Kevin Thomas. Who else? Jerry Fontanez. Those are some of the people that I competed against. As far as forms is concerned, when I was younger, Charlie Lee, Gary Michak, Keith Harabashi, Jean Finette from Canada. He was great.
Yes, some of those guys they definitely were amazing.
Yeah.
Take me through your match with Pedro. What was it like going against him? By the way, this is Pedro Xavier from Boston Taekwondo. For
Yeah.
anybody that's not familiar with
Yeah. He was that leg was so fast. I have never beaten Pedro Xavier. I remember
you
fighting
fought him more than once.
twice, I believe, and both times he got me. It may have been more, but I wasn't. Yeah, I don't remember the exact times, but I remember two that stand out. And he was just too. That leg was too fast. I had no defense for it. I remember getting hit by a hook kick roundhouse, and the only thing I saw was his leg coming down.
Wow.
Yeah. The next exchange, I had to punch him in his face, but he still won the fight.
What about Kevin Thompson?
Kevin Thompson, we were 4 times. He beat me the first 2 times. I beat him the last 2 times.
So what were those matches like?
He was a beast, man. He was a true warrior. I used to watch him growing up, watch him fighting. He was, my height, fighting people 6'2" and beating them. Hard hitter, very hard hitter. And the first time we fought, I think it was Compete in California. We both had on shields. And I said, I have to make a statement. So I clocked him as hard as I could right in his face, cracked his shield. He had that Friday the 13th Jason mask on. And I cracked him right in his first exchange, right in his shield, and cracked it. He ripped it off. The next exchange, he cracked my shields. And I took off my shield and we shook hands. It was like, okay, now we could just be competitors because that the mutual respect was there. But he was great, man. He was a great warrior.
So what was your strategy against him, especially after the first time you fought him? And then you've seen him fight him many times. So did you have were you the type of competitor you would have a game plan in advance if you knew who you were fighting? Or did you just, feel it out as the fight went?
Most of the time I felt it out, because I didn't have to, with him, I didn't have to worry too much about his kicks. Just had to not rush it because his footwork was great. You know, his defensive capabilities was great. You know, the first time I fought him, I think his foot was on the line going out of bounds, and I threw a 3-piece combination, and I missed everything. I
Wow.
missed everything. Whap, whap, whap. I was like, what the? And that was the second time we fought. Yeah, that was in Jersey, top 10 nationals. Uh, but the last 2 times, I just made a few adjustments. Instead of going to the head, I went to the body. You know, I put my foot on it, put my kick on him instead. But yeah, he was a great fighter.
Absolutely great martial artist.
Yeah.
Another top guy. He was a little bit older than you, but you might have tangled with him. Larry Tankton in the lightweight division.
No, Larry was. No, I never fought Larry. I ended up fighting Jason.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I fought him twice. He was that leg is. I don't know. That leg was just crazy. That leg is crazy.
Yeah, he's like you though. He's one of those guys that started at 5 or 7. I think he actually told me like 7 or 8.
Yeah.
So that's when that's your first form of fighting or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It just and then you put in the hard work behind it. So things
Right.
things things tend to flow, whatever.
Yep.
So how did you do against Jason?
Jason, the first time I beat him, the second time he beat me.
Okay. Now,
Yeah.
was he a lightweight at that time?
Yeah. I think I was a weight right above him.
And how did you end up fighting Fontanez? Because he was like in the middleweight, and then he went all the way up to heavyweight.
That was usually at a local events. We were fighting for grand. I think I only
Oh,
fought Fontanez for grand at local events because national events we wouldn't. National events we usually travel together to go, but locally we fought against each other, and it's usually always for grand.
yeah, I've seen you take down a couple of more than one big guy in your day. But you mentioned taking down giants and whatever. I remember Kevin Thompson, having some epic clashes against Nasty Anderson, a guy
Yeah.
that was, much bigger than him.
Yes,
But
taller and heavier and weight. Yeah, and he was Nasty was like 250 maybe.
right. So there's a story. The word out on the street is that you were going to beat up on Nasty Anderson one year at your father's tournament when you were like 12, 13 years old. Give us the lowdown on that. What really happened that day? Really happened that day in the People's Republic of Brooklyn.
Well, you defend your family no matter what. I'm gonna defend my father no matter what. And at the time, as a promoter, as a top competitor rather, majority of the time the promoters flew you into their event. So if you're number one in the country, you didn't have to, you didn't pay your airfare, you didn't pay your hotel, you didn't pay for entry fee. Sometimes you've gotten even show money. So my dad being, the promoter as he is, he one of the top competitors at his event. So, he flew Nasty in.
And what was the name of his event? I know I competed there and I won it, but I forgot what the name was.
Binns Galaxy of Stars.
Okay, right.
Binns Galaxy of Stars. That's the short name, but it was like New York State Open Karate Kung Fu International Championship, Binns Galaxy of Stars. So the Binns Galaxy
Okay.
of Stars. So the first time he came
So to get the national rating, you had to have what, like five top competitors, or was it 3, or what was it?
10. You had to have 10.
You had to have 10. Wow.
Yeah, you have to have 10, and we had more than 10. I believe it was 10. It was a 10 or 20, but whatever the criteria was, we definitely had it.
And the 10 were all Compton?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. We had Nasty Anderson, Billy Blanks,
Linda Denley.
Cynthia Round. Linda Denley never came to our event.
Oh, I thought I saw her there once. Okay.
Yeah, she never came to our event. We had John Chung, Dennis Brown, Cynthia Rothrock, Charlie Lee, Gary Mitch, not Gary Michak, Joey Shiflett from down south.
Yeah, I know Joe.
Yeah. We had a lot of top competitors there, and one of the first event, basically, he came to the tournament. Well, we flew him in, and he actually stayed in our house. He stayed in the house. He stayed in my damn room, and I slept on the couch. And after winning the tournament, he wanted more money, and I was like, "You out your damn mind? You crazy?" know, he's like, I came here. I said, no, you didn't come here. We brought you here.
But you told him that, not your father?
I told him that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, you know, it was a little mix up.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
yeah, he was
rest
a
in
great,
peace, the nasty
yeah,
ants.
great, most innovative, one of the most innovative fighters out there. You know, he was a psychological genius. He would beat you outside the ring more than he would beat you inside the ring.
Yeah, he's told me some great stories about that. I'll just mention one real fast. Um, he and Billy were at the same hotel. He rolled down to the front office and told them to call Billy's room. I guess he probably personated, said he was Billy, so please call me every hour on the hour tonight. This is the night before the tournament.
Yeah, he was crazy, man. He was crazy.
Yes,
I mean, let me give you one story. I think he was in I don't remember the tournament it was, but he started to dismantle the Grand Championship trophy before the division started. And it was like, what are you doing? I said, well, I got to dismantle it to get it on the plane. So
and did he end up winning?
Of course, yeah, winning physically and mentally.
Hmm.
So he was a great fighter.
Absolutely. There's well, let me ask you this first. Is John Jackson still involved in the martial arts world?
Nah, nah.
Around
Unfortunately,
around when did he stop? Do you remember?
I would say we were probably in our 20s, early 20s.
Okay. So there's more than one martial artist. I know some of my own dojo brothers, that are no longer involved in martial arts, and it's pretty shocking to me and kind of like devastating because we're talking about people that were so talented and now they're completely out of martial arts. And my take on it is that they were looking for more from us than just the punching and the kicking or whatever.
Yeah.
So what's your take on that?
Yeah, I totally agree because there's no reward. There's no reward for your longevity. So what's the reward? And our
As you once told me,
predecessor,
there was no pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
there isn't any. Yeah, there isn't any. Our predecessors did it as a hobby. So if we don't see a pot at the end of the rainbow, what's the purpose of continuing it? So this unfortunately, that's the case, and unfortunately, that's one of the reasons why competition is still a hobby. It's still a hobby. We the competitors of the martial arts events pay more to compete than any other sport, and we get less return. So it's just unfortunately it's a shame that this industry is like that. We're just hobbyists. We're just addicted hobbyists. So I don't blame them because as we get older, we have to feed our families. We have to be adults. we just can't train all day and travel and beat up each other and get no reward for it. If it was organized like boxing, there'd be something totally different.
Well, then what kept you in it then for so long? What kept you going? Was it
Um,
was it, was it the idea of you had to get ready for the next competition? You always had to get ready for the next
nah, it was
competition.
never the competition because it was never the competition. It was the teaching. It was the teaching. It was never the competition because I didn't compete as an adult. I didn't compete regularly, for to be a champion. I competed when I wanted to because I just love competing. I love the chess game of it. But it was the teaching part. It was the teaching to see. It was to see the child, the shy child, to come into the school and leave as a person who can able to stand up in a crowd and give a speech. And he would never have been able to do that unless he came to the school. So that what kept me in it. It's the teaching part. It's being able to, like I said, to relate, is to, connect the characteristics that you develop as a black belt into your everyday life.
Yeah, there's one of my dojo brothers, El Java,
Mm-hmm.
who I've known since he was 15 years old.
Yeah, yeah.
And seeing him at 15, I would have never thought that he would become, the person that he's become today, because like growth has just been incredible.
Yeah.
And I remember going to one of his students' black belt tests, and Java, giving a talk there. And this was a few months after he'd also done one of his tournaments in the middle of a snowstorm in Syracuse, and it was
Right.
still successful enough to a point where he was able to give a check for I don't remember what it was, $1, $2, or $3,000 to some charitable organization. And I mean, I just got choked up, at that event, because I was so proud of him. Even though he was my dojo brother, not my instructor, so it's not like I'm taking credit for it. But I was just so happy for his success.
And
It was
he's still
amazing.
training. He's still training. He's still competing. He's still coaching. And I think by later this year, he's going to be a doctor. Yeah, so I remember
He went to
Java.
medical school? He went to medical school?
No, it's not medical school. He's going to a doctorate. I don't remember in what.
Oh, PhD, you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep, awesome. You, as the coach of Team Victory,
Mm-hmm.
give me that story. How did you decide, hey, I'm going to put a team together? How did you select your talent? What was your motivation to do it? And how did you finance it? Because that had to be expensive. What companies did you have behind you? I know
Yeah,
you must have had Coke, Pepsi, Budweiser, or somebody.
all of that. I had all of that. Yeah, it's the same concept. It's the same concept that drove me to be an entrepreneur. I saw the different teams that were out there. I saw where they were lacking, and I did learn from. I was on a team once. I was on Jungle Care. I was on there for 1 year under John Chung, and I learned a lot. I learned a lot of how to structure a team, as far as sponsorship in different levels, and rewarding the players based upon their performance. So you had level 1, level 2, level 3, and you had the different levels had different levels of sponsorship. And based upon your win percentage. So I learned a lot from John Chung, and that was in 1999. And I decided, let me do it. While I was on that team, I was already planning in my head to do a team, and we came out in 2000. Initially, I was thinking of a New York team, but then we had to grow. The initial players was Fontanez, Jerry Fontanez. Actually, I'm sorry. I had Tower Owl prior to Team Victory. But Team Victory was Fontanez, Joe Rivera.
Tower Isle was actually a sponsored team then.
Yeah. That lasted a year. That was pretty good. But Team Victory was my baby. Again, I didn't have control over the Tower Owl situation. But Team Victory was my baby. The initial members was Jerry Fontaine, Joe Rivera, Ninja Fitzpatrick, and Jason Facey.
Okay.
We initially reached out to Carlos Tierney, Jesse Ray, and Raymond Daniels. That was my initial squad. That would have been a killer squad. But yeah.
So at that time, Raymond wasn't on
No, he wasn't on any team.
on Rodriguez's team. What was the name of that team?
JPM. No, he wasn't on JPM yet.
JPM. Okay.
No,
That was before he joined JPM or after he joined?
Yeah, way before that. Way before. This is like just coming out of the juniors. He did maybe 1 year.
Okay, so that's when he was still he really hadn't transitioned to NASCAR yet. He was still tearing it up in the NBL.
He did a few. He was doing a few NASCAR that year. He did a few NASCAR because him and Ninja used to go back and forth all the time.
Him and who?
Ninja as a lightweight.
Oh, okay. Okay, so the evolution and the growth of the team from there. To take it from there.
Yeah, so we started off with a small group, and then my heart is big. I always want to help more and more people. So we figured let's do a tryout. We do a tryout. the goal was actually to get like 3 players, and we end up picking up like 15. You know, we had a tryout at Hector Delgado School. People like Hector Santiago was there, Diego Lopez, his student Jose Centron. Um, who else was there? Rock from Ninja University, Double Dose. Um,
Wow.
Lawrence Ray was there. We had a lot of people was there, and the goal was to pick up 2 or 3 people. I think I ended up picking up like 9, all of them. You know, if I had to do it over again, I wouldn't do it that way. But I understand why I did it, because, like I said, I wanted to give an opportunity for those who didn't have an opportunity. Matrix was there with Tariq Seegers was there, later on known as Matrix. So that was one of Fontenez's ideas. We gave everybody a nickname. So yeah, we ended up picking up a lot of people. It was fun. It was a little stressful, but it was fun. I enjoyed seeing those guys getting a chance to be on a national level, which they wouldn't have had before. You know, their national competition was Battle of Baltimore.
Yeah, something driving distance.
Yeah.
Empire State National.
Yeah.
Take the brain there.
And the biggest of all them all would be Capital Classic, would be DC. You know, so but to be able to give those fighters an opportunity to travel.
So how many nationals did you guys hit, or which ones?
We did all of them.
You don't. So you guys went to Cali and all that.
Yeah, our debut was in California. Was in Complete Nationals.
Okay.
You know, Matrix, Facey, all of them. Our debut was in California.
How'd they do?
They did okay. You know, first time jitters on on a national level. A lot of them, they did okay. You know, we definitely made some noise. Everybody did definitely notice us.
Was there any like top notch, like local California teams that they competed against? You know, like Alvin Powder and those guys. I mean, no, Alvin wasn't competing, but from his school.
Yeah, I'm sure Sherman Oaks was there. Yeah, I'm sure they were there. You know, but it was other national teams that was there as well. You know, but yeah, that was the whole purpose. Is just to give them an opportunity to grow. And every year that the team kept growing. You know, we started off with 5, and then one time we was up to like 30-something people on the team. Yeah. You know, we got so big. We used to do tournaments on the East and West Coast at the same time. We used to do tournaments in NBL and NASCAR at the same time. You know, so we almost had a West Coast squad and an East Coast squad. You know, so when NBL was a big league, and there were tournaments in the same weekend, a NASCAR and an NBL tournament, we used to hit both of them, split it up. You know, so it was fun.
And did you find that the members of the team had a great sense of teamwork and camaraderie between themselves? Were they grateful for what you were doing, or was there a selfish, I, me type of mentality?
We try to nip it in the bud, you know. We try to nip it in the bud. A lot of people were grateful. Of course, we was going to have one bad apple, but a lot of them. I think majority of them were grateful. I think 99% of them were grateful.
Dip it in the bud how through conversation, communication, or give them their 2 weeks notice, so to speak.
Well, yeah, you got to earn your keep. You got to earn it. I'm not. We're not wasting our money to you got to earn your keep. And I used to always be seriously joking and saying, I'm not buying any food. Somebody has to treat me to dinner every tournament. Because like Nasty Anderson, you didn't come here. I brought you here.
Right.
Yeah, but yeah. Listen, we built a big bond. I still speak to a lot of the members today. I still speak to Jason Facey, Ninja. Ninja just called me the other day about the boxing fight, the boxing match that was Thursday. I still speak to Fontenez every tower every once in a while. I just spoke to Lil Jack like a week and a half ago. So
is he still in martial arts?
Yeah, he teaches. He teaches and he gives a tournament in Cali.
Oh, he's throwing tournaments now too?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think this is maybe 3 years so far. This is his third or fourth year. Yeah, but it's fairly new. But yeah, he gives a tournament in California in November, I think it is.
So did Jesse ever end up joining the team?
No, no, Jesse never did. No, no, no.
But
It's
Jack
crazy.
Felton was.
I had a uniform for him too, with a nickname Tank on the back.
You should have showed it to him. That might have swayed him. That might have swayed him. You know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Jesse's a good dude.
Absolutely. When you were doing the team thing, were you still competing also?
Yeah, once in a while. Yeah, I should have stepped back, but you know, the being a crackhead of competition, you still want to compete sometimes. But I think the team would have been more successful if I focused on coaching. Um, it's hard to do both. It's hard to be top notch at coach and top notch fighter at the same time, um, especially being the team being so big.
Absolutely. How would you, when you did compete? Um, well, let me ask you this: why did you eventually stop? Why did you eventually give up competition? I got old.
Besides that, um, the rewards. There's no rewards. There's no outside. The reward is just it's in here. It's ego.
Right.
You know, it's just the ego thing. There's no. But how many trophies can I have? You know, and why am I still fighting for the same $500 or $1,000 that I did 15 years ago? It's the
I,
same
I
fight.
went to Kevin Thompson's house
Yeah.
when I trained with him back in the day. This is before any, you know, we none of us were married at that time. It was a really great time for us. But so he was still living at his mother's house at the time. Yo,
Okay.
the dining room, every square inch of the dining room was covered with trophies.
Cover with trophies, exactly.
You can forget about walking in there or sitting down and having a meal or whatever. And they were all like giant size trophies, right? The whole dining room.
Yeah.
I was like, man,
Yep. Yep. Yep.
wow. What do you think about competition? I'm talking about fighting in competition as a way of testing your skills so you have a sense of like how you would do in a real fight.
Well, I think competition is important. I don't think it bears. I don't think you should compare the two. I don't think you should think if you did well in competition that means you're going to do well in a real combat situation, because there's rules in competition. There are no rules in the street. So I don't think you should assume you're going to do well. But what I do think, the benefits of competition is so you can see how well you're going to behave under pressure. You know, if you're going to fold. You know, because life is about competition. We compete. We compete in everything that we do. We compete from when we were young in school all the way up to adulthood. You know, we compete in school. We compete. That's what tests are for. It's a form of competition. You know, you get the high school test, you get this college test, you take a test to get into this, you know, to the services. You take a test to get a new job. Interview is a test. You know, you're competing against others for a spouse. You're always in competition. You're
And
competing
once you
for a
have a
raise.
job, you're competing to move up the ladder. And
Yeah, you're competing to get a raise. You're competing against your peers to get a raise, to get promotions. So it's about life is about competition, and you should know how well you do or how you're going to perform in that environment. You know, some people thrive on it. Some people buckle. So that's the whole point. That's, to me, the enjoyment of competition is to see how you overcome adversity.
how would you describe your fighting style when you were at your peak?
It wasn't. I wasn't conventional. I didn't do the conventional things. My footwork. I love my footwork because even though I like competing, I like fighting. I didn't like getting hit. It hurts. You know. So I studied fencing for footwork. I studied boxing for upper body movement, um, because to me boxing has better hand techniques and upper body movement than martial arts, because the boxing matches is at a closer range than martial artists. And you know, somebody like Wilfred Benitez or Pernell Whitaker or Floyd Mayweather, they're standing right toe to toe to each other, and the person is throwing 6, 7 blows and missing. You know, we don't teach that in most martial arts styles. but that's a norm in boxing. So I've taken those mixture of different fighting combat styles and put it into point sparring.
I'm surprised you mentioned fencing though, because I was actually competed in fencing on the collegiate level, varsity, varsity level fencing, and because
Nice.
it's straight line, it's back and forward,
Yeah,
and so I kind of had to break that habit because when someone was blitzing, my thing was always, go straight back in a straight line. It was
yeah,
hard to finally get it into my head to step off the line.
off the line. Yeah.
So
But it's evolution. You first learn straight line, and then you're comfortable with that. A lot of times, people are not comfortable being attacked, so they're not comfortable being in the fire. You can't fight if you're out of the fire. So sometimes you step off the line or you step out of range, then you have to re-engage to be on the offense. So you got to be comfortable with being in the fire first.
would you say that you were a highly mobile fighter or more or less a flat-footed straight line?
I was mobile. I was mobile when I was in shape.
Or you more? Yeah, I remember coaching you. Well, not coaching them officially, but just like I'm a I was always a screamer from the sideline. I'm saying side to side. Nobody in the world can beat you when you're moving side to side.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, highly mobile. Would you say you were primarily offensive or defensive?
Uh,
Well, let me ask you this because this is a easy way to understand that question. When the referee said fight, was your instinct to move forward and to engage, or to move around?
no,
And
move around first. I had to move around. I couldn't engage. I couldn't automatically engage. My limbs were shorter than everybody else's. I'm 5'4", 5'5". If I lie, I'm 5'6". So everybody who I competed against normally were always taller than me. So they always had to reach. So I couldn't just go in. I had to either as fake or fake reposition, sidestep. So you got to set it up. I'm not I'm not a bull. I'm just not gonna just go. Like I said, I don't like getting hit.
and were you primarily a puncher or a kicker?
Definitely puncher.
So you scored the majority of your points
With my hand.
punching,
Yeah.
blitzing, back fist, or reverse punch.
All of the above. I'm not prejudiced.
Equal opportunity.
I'm not prejudiced.
So you didn't have a favorite technique?
Favorite technique? It changed. It evolved as I got older. Initially, it was my lead hand back fist, and it became later on when I became more of an adult and strong. It became my reverse punch, my right hand.
Okay. What advice would you give to a white belt starting out in martial arts this week that says, hey, Mr. Binns, I want to be just like you and achieve black belt excellence and compete and travel around the world, around the country?
Keep going. When you get tired, keep going. When you feel like quitting, keep going. When it gets hard, keep going. Just keep going. You can't get better at something if you keep stopping. But you start and stop, start and stop. It's not a question of when will it get hard. Life will get hard. You just got to keep going. Keep going. You can't lose if you don't quit. You can't lose.
And what advice would you give to a young entrepreneur, an up and coming business person?
Find a mentor. Find a mentor. Find a coach. Find someone who's accomplished what you want to accomplish, and follow their lead. And there's no need to reinvent the wheel. There's no need. If you go short in your learning curve, find a mentor. Find a coach.
Robert Kiyosaki or Anthony Robbins?
Each one of them could be a coach. Yeah, I don't have to choose. Well, I have both of their books. I have Tony Robbins' books and I have Robert Kiyosaki. You can learn something from everybody. You want to focus more on business and real estate, you go to Robert Kiyosaki. You pay cash flow. So yeah, both of them. You could add a lot more people in there. Because you could learn from everybody. You can learn something from everyone. Sometimes you can learn what not to do.
when you were coming up in the ranks, even as a young person, because you were very young when you made black belt, like who did you look up to, like watching the men fighting and things like that?
Let's see.
Who did you like? You got around the ring like, oh man, I so and so's fighting, we can't miss this. Come on, let's go.
I used to love watching Errol Bennett
Yeah,
fight.
nice.
I used to love watching Derek Williams do forms, and he's still doing forms. I saw him last year on November at a tournament, and I just went up and shook his hand. I said, I really want to show you how much I appreciate that you still give the same intensity in your cobblers as when you were 20 something years old, and now you late 60s, early 70s. He still has that same intensity, that same fire. He was one of them. Adrian Munez from Jersey. He was another. Um, Eddie Banks, Sharif Nasheed, Kendawala, Abdul Aziz, um, forms guys nationally. George Chung was amazing. He was amazing. He would do traditional and creative in the same day. Those are the top guys that I used to when I was younger. That's who impressed me.
George Chung at one tournament where I was at, he was over there with the Wushu guys. We're getting ready to compete. He was, going through his motion, going through his forms or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And you could tell he was like psyching out his competition. So then when the competition got ready to start, he went to another ring, which was, I don't know, let's say traditional, for example, or whatever it was. But he wasn't even had no intentions of competing or whatever.
Just psyched him out.
Psyched him out. Yeah, he just psyched him out and then left, went to another division. It's crazy.
Yeah. George Chung was great, man.
You mentioned, Errol Bennett, who's someone, I got to know pretty well over the years. What impressed me about him, I was always impressed with, flashy guys, number one, so like Billy Blanks, and guys like nasty guys like Errol Bennett. They could take moves from katas and actually do it in fighting. Because we were at this tournament once in Jersey. This is when when it was the Ninja Turtle system. They had a lot of great fighters back then, and he was fighting one guy. He did an X block, takedown,
really,
punch. Like it's like what?
Wow.
Another guy who used to do kind of moves like that was Isaac Williams.
Yeah.
So, you guys ever fight?
Yes, we fought a few times.
Light middle or going for? Did you move up to light middle eventually or not?
Yeah, I'm sure I did. I think I don't recall the record. I do remember him beating me once, and I remember me beating him. I don't know if that's only 2 times we fought, but yeah, he's a good dude.
Did Michael Sledge ever compete at your father's tournament?
Yeah, Michael look up Sledge. Yeah.
Speedy Wilson, Speedy.
Yeah, all of them. Yeah. Great New York fighters.
Yep. Very good. Is there anything we missed that you think is important for people to know about your story?
Just because of martial arts, I was able to travel the world. I was able to travel the world, meet a lot of people. Through martial arts, I was able to sponsor a team. Team Victory was self-sponsored. The small 1,500 school in Brooklyn, New York, on Albany Avenue, sponsored the team for like 14 years. I never had a sponsor. I never had an official corporate sponsor. I told everybody I did, but I never had a sponsor.
And the members of your team, they never knew that. They always thought you were a sponsor.
No, I never told them. No, I never told them. No. I didn't want to get new friends.
All right.
But we had a corporate sponsor that chose to be unknown. That's what I always told them. But that was all done through martial arts. So martial arts has gifted me with friends, with family, with travel, with a lot of great memories. It even gets me to develop to get into Fit Body Bootcamp, because it was at a martial arts business summit that I heard the founder of Fit Body Bootcamp.
I'm surprised they even let him talk.
Well, because the person who put on the business summit, Pedro Schoolin, was his mentor.
Okay.
So he copied. He learned from Pedro's, and now Fit Body Bootcamp, the founder, the current CEO of Fit Body Bootcamp, Bryce Henson. You know, I have they're on my phone. I can give them a call whenever. So they all started through martial arts. It all started through martial arts training. And the reach that it had. So just if you're gonna do something, do it and just go all in. Don't dabble in it. Just go all in.
One final question as a parent, what role has martial arts played in the life of your children?
Well, all my kids are black belts. All of them are black belts. It's funny because I didn't have to tell him to do it. It was around them, so they just wanted to do it, which was done purposely. Because as we know, we tell kids to do something, they do the opposite. But it was important for me that my kids were martial arts. But it was also important, not necessarily compete, because like
you have all girls.
I have 2 boys, 2 girls, and they're all black belts. But it wasn't to compete because like I said, competition is just strictly ego. But it was just the different characteristics to earn your black belt that I wanted them to go through, and to be able to to correlate that into everyday life. So my oldest is going to be 31 actually next week. He just moved to Massachusetts. My oldest daughter, she's studying to be a dentist. My youngest son is his 3rd year in University of Albany, and my youngest daughter, she's going to be a junior in high school. So and honestly, especially for my girls need to know how to defend themselves.
Right.
My girls need to know how to defend themselves. I'd rather get a call from the precinct than the hospital. When my oldest daughter went away to college, I said, I'd rather get a call from the precinct than the hospital. So, and then as my 2 boys, as men, we have to be able to protect our family. So it's definitely.
And one in Albany, one in Massachusetts. They don't mind the cold weather, huh?
Yeah.
What I was trying to get at, you basically already answered it though, is that martial art has meant a lot in our lives. So should we make that training mandatory in the lives of our children? What I did with my kids, I didn't make it mandatory, but I said, you have to learn how to fight. So after you learn how to fight, then you can go about your business. You don't have to be like for rank or whatever.
Right.
And none of the 3 of them, I had 3, none of the 3 of them, did stay in it or whatever. But they all know weapons and how to fight and stuff like that.
Right.
So in your case, if they had not gravitated to it naturally, would you have made it mandatory?
That was the plan. Yeah. That was the plan. Because listen, like I said, the kids don't listen to us, but they watch what we do. They walk like we walk, they talk like we talk, their mannerism. So if we're always in the dojo, we're always working out, they want to be like their parents. Parents are the child's first superhero, so they always want to be like us. So you have to steer them into the right direction. And then by being in the dojo or a karate school, it's just like osmosis. You're gonna start training, and then eventually they build relationships. From like my youngest daughter just had a Sweet 16 January 1st, and half of the people that was in her Sweet 16 was from the karate school. The people that she took her black belt test with, people that the parents from those those people, part of the people that helped with the Sweet 16 were parents from the karate school. So it's they learn from the environment. So yeah, it was planned, and it worked out perfect.
Very good. Appreciate it. Thanks for the information. With any luck, the technology will work. And we'll have an important contribution to history here. And the reason I say that is because like when I did the first issue of On Point Magazine, I looked, surveyed the scene, and it said who's the most deserving athlete in sport, and I chose, Nasty Anderson. That's why he went on the cover of the first issue when we had that classic article
Yeah, yeah,
about his fight against Nico San.
yeah.
But after that article came out, I mean, after that issue dropped, the first issue dropped, and I was getting all the feedback and whatever. It was pretty surprising because a lot of people didn't know who he was, and I was like, man, this sport has like no sense of history. You have exceptions like Gary Fontanez, who's like a historian, but
Yeah, 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 yeah.
you know,
He remembers everybody.
yeah,
But
for
like
the
I said,
most part, it was like, man, this sport has no history. This is terrible.
because it's a hobby. It's a hobby, and there's nobody keeping records. But we keep our own records. We keep our own records. It's not an organized hobby. It's not one, let's say, sanctioning body that has the competitor's best interest in mind.
Absolutely.
That's another story.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
All right.